Okay, final question for the evening. And media often talks about, and journalism often talks about increasing media news literacy so that people understand more about what the media does and how it does it, and in a sense, creates the language of the exchange. Let's flip that on its head a bit. What would faith literacy look like in a media setting? Question for each.
I think it would look like, as we said, a more diversified workforce. It would look like giving religion a place. Barney used to have that regular column. I mean, there's a little column in The Age called Faith Topics or Faith Matters in The Age on Sunday.
I have last Sunday.
Yes, exactly. So, there's a tiny little column in The Age. It would be good if there was a more regular coverage of different things. There are good news stories. The media is often focused on bad news stories, but a lot of the time all we can offer you are good news stories. So people, we've got beautiful celebrations that are very colourful. Buddha's birthday's coming up in May, everybody's welcome. Just more place for good things. Many of our temples offer free food to those who need it regularly. There's a lot of great charity work going on. The Sikhs do incredibly good charity work with offering food. There's a lot of good things that religions do. And sometimes the really good work is lost in the noise of the really horrific things that have happened. The things that led to the Royal Commission into institutional child abuse are horrific things, and then that overshadows everything, and then you lose the news of the good things. So I think a bit more place for covering religion in the media would be good.
I would say balance is a really important thing. Like I referenced earlier, 80% of news stories to do with Muslims were negative. So that's completely imbalanced. So we have to consider what is really happening, the good and the bad, as you said. Diverse newsrooms with different colours, different religions, different faces would be, that would be utopia, I suppose. And I would say training for emerging journalists who, just basic training to start off with, and then they can learn more on the job. But I think there has to be an effort on the individual journalist to kind of reach out and find the right people to speak to. And the reason I really believe this is because a bad news story or a poorly written news story affects the lives of the most vulnerable in the community. And that in the Muslim community, that's the children and that's the women. No one goes and attacks a large hairy bloke crossing the road. They tend to attack the woman and the small children. And I'll say on a personal note, whenever there is and I'm not saying don't report on the bad stuff, the bad stuff is newsworthy. We need to know that, as well as the good stuff. But there have been days where when there is a horrible news story, then I won't go out for a couple of days. This affects the livelihood of people. Muslims tend to be overlooked for interviews, overlooked for jobs, and that's to do with life. And if every Muslim was a terrorist or violent, I think Australia would be looking a lot worse than it is, because we're just simply not that. It's the outliers that unfortunately make things pretty awful for the rest of us.
I think both of you have raised important points. I think, Diana, there is a real appetite for good news stories. Of course, if it leads is the old journalistic motto. But I just think people are looking for more positive stories and to be part of the balance, as Huda has said too. If you ask me what I would like to see a faith-literate news media look like, it would be a news media that did not treat all religion as monolithic and any one religion as monolithic, was alert to nuance, the various positions and discussions that go on within religions. And the other thing would be to point to the role of religion as providing social glue, as it still does, and not only among migrant communities, but among, say, Catholic parishes, where it provides community, a sense of purpose, and a sense of meaning. And these are very important positives that should be widely recognised.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Huda. Thank you, Barney. That was an exceptionally fine and stimulating conversation. I'm glad to have been part of it.